take a ride into the grid where the future is alive. We're talking about the Web3 revolution, energy systems and a deep evolution, yeah. It's a digital symphony, a decentralized energy in the world of connection. Oh, so South is our destination. Web3 fascination. Get ready for the revolution. Here we go.
It's time for the 13th episode of Source Talk, the podcast where the future of energy unfolds. Source Talk is focused on Web3, DP, and Srcful, and everything related. And today we have a more regular community update with me, Johan, Fredrik, and Joachim. How are you guys? Starting with Joachim.
I'm good. It's Sunday noon, so couldn't be better. How about Fredrik?
Yep, all is good. Just been out for a quick run in the sunshine, and I think it just started raining now, so perfect timing for doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's raining here as well. It's been a really warm pre-summer, but now for the last week it has been pretty Swedish summer, I guess, with rain and not that hot.
And that's what we're used to, so it's not too bad.
But it's really good if you are sitting inside and program and work on things. It's a bit easier to be productive in that environment, actually. So, as I said, Fredrik, you had a pretty interesting discussion with Prophet from the MetaDAO regarding MetaDAOs last time. I really enjoyed that episode. It gave me a lot of food for thoughts. And today the plan is to have a more regular community update and go through what is happening in Srcful, trying to be as transparent as possible. So where should we start, Joachim?
We're actually gonna start with what's happening tomorrow, and that is the distribution of beta rewards. And like we announced on Discord also, make sure you have the correct wallet linked, to the wallet you actually want your tokens distributed to. And after that, I don't believe we mentioned in the previous podcast actually that the energy gateways are now back in stock. And yeah,
the day has finally come. Any day now.
Yeah. Any day now has been a lot of days, so but they are now in stock, and we could also say that this is still the beta batch, the Solaris batch. Things might change or definitely will change in the future, I would say. So there might be a new batch that has a different name and perhaps some different functionality. We'll see.
And also, the demand has actually been quite high, but they're still in stock. So I believe that's really good. I mean, they're actually restocking promptly. So you can actually get your gateway if you want one.
Yeah, and as Fredrik mentioned, if you want to be on the beta journey, I would probably argue that now is the time to get that order in, because the beta phase will end sometime in the future, and that future might be even closer than we think. So start to order now if you want to be in the beta phase.
And speaking of gateways, this Friday our new firmware update is due. And from what I've seen, the inverter scanning functionality is still being it's being implemented. It's not working. I believe it's working, but there are a few hiccups. So I'm guessing they're working on that right now. And that will be announced in the release notes. But I believe that is one of the highlights of this firmware update.
Yeah, so that will mitigate problems when you, for instance, your inverter gets lost of power and it reboots and it gets a new IP address. and then the gateway cannot communicate to the inverter, and then you lose connection, and you got to go into the gateway and update it to the new IP address. Of course, if you are kind of tech savvy, you could probably go into your router and make sure that the inverter always get a reserved IP address, so it always get the same IP address. But however, that is for 95 or 99% of the population, that will be a no option. So we need some kind of functionality to be able to find the inverter if we lose connection to it. And I mean, it's pretty basic. If you have one inverter on your network, it will become a little bit more complicated if there are several inverters on the same network. So,
but it's also, like you said, it's going to help you find the inverter. So that's going to help like the onboarding process as well. So you don't actually have to go into your router or have to do an Nmap scan just to find your inverter. So for the onboarding process, I believe it's really good to have that functionality.
Do we know how the functionality will work? I might have missed the meeting, but is it like an automatic process, or will you have to go in and activate the scanning function? Or
I actually think it's automatic.
Yeah.
And also I can read here in my cheat sheets, proxy, Fredrik.
Yeah. So this is something that I think that I've pushed for internally for some time. Perhaps this is not something, I think there are a few people might be like glad to hear about this, but this will be an important like functionality for, I would say, more to come. That if you have more products that want to speak to the same inverter, we are now building in the functionality that we can utilize the Energy Gateway as a proxy for your inverter or battery. That essentially means that you can connect more devices to the same inverter. They are very bad at speaking to several devices. So it's not like a web server when many people can go in and watch at the web page at the same time. It handles that. An inverter is old and stupid in the communication methods. So they can usually just speak to one other device at a time. They can speak to several, but it gets complicated. It doesn't know.
So I'm guessing
that way. So proxy is important.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that a lot of times the dongle for like Wi-Fi or things like that actually consumes the Modbus port, so you can't actually communicate with the gateway. Yeah. And the proxy, I believe, will help with that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So that could be one thing. And also, let's say that you run Home Assistant and you want to consume the data directly from the inverter. If you're also running the Energy Gateway and Home Assistant, you might need a proxy server, which also can be installed in Home Assistant. But like the more functionality we have built into the Energy Gateway, it makes sense. We could also, this will also in the end, like the proxy is one thing, but the firmware that we're building is able to read a lot of different inverters already as it is. So this will be like an additional feature that I can also mention, that let's say that you have an inverter, that inverter is not supported by Home Assistant. Maybe that's strange, but let's say that is the case. The Energy Gateway will be able to act as the intermediary, like you will be able to sort of speak with the inverter via the Energy Gateway, because we have this open way, a sort of a standardized way. And there is already one guy that has built an integration with Home Assistant, both consuming the Explorer API data and also the local API on the Energy Gateway. So this, I believe, will be super interesting to see, because this is the first community-built software that we've seen so far. And the Home Assistant community it's I would say it's really, really big. So.
Yeah, also a big shout out for that, actually, for the Home Assistant integration, and also for, I did it on Discord as well, but a big shout out to our beta testers, especially like right now, because they're actually scrutinizing our platform a lot. So they reported a lot of bugs and things like that, that fresh eyes can see, but maybe we can't all the time. So a big shout out and a big thanks.
And just a clarification, so the proxy thing is not up for release on Friday, or is it included in?
No, it's not.
No, so that's more like a future feature.
Yeah, it's on the roadmap, and we will announce once it's being released.
Yeah. Do we know what the focus is for the next firmware cycle?
Personally, no, but I still believe it's the inverter scanning part and stability and implementing support for more inverters. I believe ferroamp is one of them, and there is one more.
Yeah.
But it will be released in the release notes.
Yeah, and I can also say that we clarified the documentation part concerning the inverters, that it had an aggressive red X for when we hadn't kind of evaluated yet. So now it's updated, so it says soon on all of the inverters. So, but when we find an inverter that is for some reason impossible to support, then it will get a red X, and then it's like we will not be able to support it. But hopefully that will be none. There will be some inverters that we will, for instance, not be able to control, so you can't participate in that market. But reading data should probably be something we can do for most of them. Yeah. So new firmware on Friday. Looking forward to it. Is it an automatic process, or is it something that our DAR hosts need to kind of do anything to get the new firmware?
Anyone who has bought either our pre-assembled gateway or the ROC gateway, it will be automatic. But for our DIYers, you'll have to pull the GitHub repo yourself and then update it manually. Which is not really a big deal. It's really simple. Just restart the container, pretty much. But enough about that. Energy Warden, Johan.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What is going on? It's been awfully quiet.
Don't go there. Yeah.
So so just a recap. We launched the 17th of May. Was I would say kind of a great success. We launched without having been able to test to the extent that we would have liked, but it still held together pretty well until we got into a pagination error that halted us at 100 gateways or hexes. We resolved that pretty quickly over the weekend, and we opened the Warden again. And then it just came to a halt once again. And that was actually not due to any technical issues. So technically everything is working. It was more due to kind of legal issues. So we need to really think about Warden and how we are presenting Warden, and which people can buy what, where, and things like that, like geolocation and stuff. So basically this comes down to that Warden shouldn't be like this speculative product. It should be more like a support for Srcful and the energy grid. So that's the whole idea about Warden. As it is framed right now, you can get the impression that that we are actually selling something that will have a higher value in the future to come. So we need to reframe and redo this, and also we got information about the problem of anyone in the world being able to even if it's virtual land areas, anyone in the world can buy a land area, for instance in the US. Yeah. And even though that land area is not like has a direct impact on the energy grid in the US, it could still be like a vague connection between, an energy gateway connected to the grid in, for instance, Arizona, and someone in, say, Russia or North Korea owning that hex. Then you get like into a big problem.
Yeah, we don't want to be there. So
no. So that's why we need to do some kind of KYCing and also regional lock it down regionally. So basically that will mean if you're in Europe, you will probably, or in the EU at least, you will probably be able to buy hexes in EU because it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense for you to buy a hex in the US other than for speculation reasons that you think that someone else will go there and build the grid. But if you buy, for instance, your hometown or an area in your hometown, you probably do that because you want to help grow the expansion of Srcful in that area. So we will kind of reframe it for that.
And also that, like, we did the equivalent of domain names. Like, you can buy a domain name on the internet and you own it. It's actually been there like since the beginning of internet almost. But the thing here is that we're going to sort of adopt the same model here, because it doesn't make sense also from the community perspective to, like, let's say that someone buys an area and then just forgets about it, doesn't put any time into this project, or it's just like, you actually stop the opportunity for more people joining in and sort of actively participating. So it will be almost like a domain name subscription model, like, and we think yearly would be probably a good way to do this. So that you sort of, you own the hex the same way you own a domain name, but you need to refresh it. So, and obviously you will have first, like, if you bought it the same as the domain name, no one can go and snatch it from you. You need, like, you will own it indefinitely as long as you sort of continue to do something about it. And that is paying money for the domain registrar. And in this case, the Warden system.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not far-fetched to think that you will be able to just not put in fiat in this case, and you should probably be able to utilize source tokens, for instance, to be able to pay for that area as well.
Absolutely, but it's just the KYC, but maybe that needs to happen at some point, and if the owner hasn't changed, but we need to sort of make that process as transparent and, I would say, regulatorily good as possible.
Yeah, and also, I mean, all this will be written as we clarify this further down the line. Just make sure to be in the Discord. But there might be some of you that will be upset that, oh, we thought it was this and that. Then you can always contact me, and we will make sure to make a refund if you like. However, we know that you even though we sold like 150 hexes or something like that, we know that it's not like you're probably a group that's are in the community and are in Discord, I guess. So we will also go the extra mile to make sure that those of you who were early actually will benefit in some way. I mean, but if anyone want to refund, just contact me and contact me in Discord, and we'll make sure that happens. So I will probably consider those of you holding hexes right now as kind of a Energy Beta Warden owners. So you will probably be able to in the future have a specific role in the Discord and things like that. And we know that some of you have maybe bought hexes in, for instance, the US, even if you're not living there, and we will make sure that we can either you can like keep them for a year and then something else happens and you get some kind of, I don't know, possibility to buy another hex, something like, you will be compensated in some way. That's for sure. Just because you're early. So basically, Warden, we will continue working on it. It will be like a lot of things that needs to happen behind the scenes. So as of right now, I will still continue to post updates. They will show up in Warden and they will show up in Discord. But and I will be adding apexes. I know that is a topic many are wanting me to do, because and as I've said before, the apex model is that someone that has no insight in the map, that has no account on Energy Warden, is the one that is actually selecting hexes. So I'm not doing that. No one in the team is doing that, and that person might end up selecting a hex that is bought, and then that hex will be upgraded to a apex hex. But we have a long list, and I will probably that's probably one of my summer activities, is to start adding hexes into the Warden in a good way. I just need to fix some functionality to get the update to work, because it's not an automatic process in that case. Because the check if it's an apex or not is done after the successful payment, and then our APIs are checking, is this an apex? That is not done all the time. It's only one thing. So I need to add some functionality there. Well, that's about it for Energy Warden, I guess.
Yeah, so to summarize, for those who already bought hexes, you will be compensated in one way, even though we might change the model. And this is an ongoing project, and we had some legal issues we actually have to solve in order for Warden to work. So we're going to post updates on this continuously. So we won't leave you hanging. For some more uplifting news, Frederick, you have been traveling as usual.
Yeah. It's been quite busy weeks, and we do have quite some busy weeks ahead of us as well. I would say that there is no vacation time for the team at Srcful. We are more or less working all summer, and we will soon. I can drop a little bit of information here, but I can say that in about 2 weeks, there will be public announcements that we will go out big with. And there might be links to something that you can see in the background of my, I would say, my office here.
That wasn't subtle at all.
That wasn't subtle at all. Okay, but then I won't say more about that. But let's say I've been traveling. There has been some partnerships that are, I would say, in motion. And we also have a solid plan now for accelerating would say the development and so on for Srcful. And you can sort of draw your own conclusion what that means, but we will be full team, full speed ahead, accelerating from now on and forward. And as soon as we can say more, we will say more. But I would say that it's very much of these things have been very, very positive, and we are sort of leaning out and sketching out plans that are, I would say, very much in line of actually making this project a top project in this space.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that will also mean even more work for us during this summer. And so as you said, we will not have vacation, and we will probably not even have weekends. But yeah, I guess that's the startup world for you. So.
Oh yes, and that's fun. So
yeah. But we can also, I mean, what we can say is that, I mean, for us, we have bootstrapped a lot in this process. But I mean, it's official that I'm leaving my daytime job and going 100% Srcful, and maybe other people in the team are as well.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah. So we will actually go from having this as a hobby, working weekends and nights, going to a full-time plus weekends and nights. So it will still be our hobby, but we will also be able to spend daytime working on the project. So you will probably see a lot of acceleration just because of that. So that's super interesting. Great. Anything else that has happened in the wonderful world of Srcful?
I'm so hyped for seeing, like, I know that the number that I got from Rock was it 60 plus something like that had been ordered just the first few days. I haven't checked in. I could say to everyone that wonders now, we don't have, like, Rock Wireless, they are the ones that are delivering the gateway. We don't actually get any kickback at all. So it's not, we are not involved that much at all in the process. Obviously, we have a direct communication line with the team at Rock Wireless. But so if you want to know shipping status or anything, well, you need to reach out to Rock Wireless, not us. But it will be super interesting because at this point, I mean, the first 50 so gateways we sold them ourselves. So we had a pretty good idea of where these were shipped, and we also could sort of, we knew a lot of what was happening. At this point, we know nothing. So it will just pop up wherever, and we don't know where. So it will be super interesting weeks to come. That I'm very hyped about. And also users that I think were part of the first beta when we sold, I think we had pretty good, like, communication, direct communication. They found their way into our server and were like, they were pretty much aware that this is, like, super early. Might be that we get a different kind of expectations on us at the moment. Like, people might expect that, like, it should be working flawlessly, but it is still a beta project. The gateway itself, it's like a very, very solid device. So that is not anyway a beta hardware. The device we've chosen, it's a really good platform. Have been running stable for years and years as helium hotspots, and this is the same platform. But the firmware, just saying, we're still in the beta stage of the firmware. So those of you that listen in have just ordered one, keep that in mind. I'm sure everything will work out just fine, but just keep that in the back of your mind. You're part of a beta firmware. Before we are actually launched live with I would say the real token, a lot of things still will need to happen to sort of make the onboarding process smooth and so. So Discord is the way. We will manage all support in Discord. So
this is probably a question I've asked before, but I think it's important to ask it again. So when you, as a Rock Wireless customer, get your gateway, is that already onboarded with our firmware, or is it like a process you need to do manually, or?
It should be onboarded with the Srcful firmware. And what might happen is that there might be a new firmware release that has, like, during the time they flash the firmware in the factory and the shipping, there might be a new release of the firmware. If that happens, the firmware needs to be updated, and I think the recommendation is to sort of plug it in with an Ethernet cable to make it update as fast as possible before you start the onboarding process. But either way, it should work even with the old firmware. There won't be any breaking changes as far as I know.
Yeah, so with that said, anything regarding like the onboarding process or the firmware in itself, we pretty much advise you to go on our Discord, and because we are the ones who are supporting that. Hardware failure or anything like that is handled by Rock Wireless.
And I mean, I think we should stress that. I mean, Fredrik, as you said, the first 50 gateways that we were sending out, we also had we had your address, we knew who you are. But now, since in this process, it's pretty good actually, because we will never get any customer data from Rock Wireless. The only thing we will get is actually the public key of the crypto chip on the gateway, so that we can confirm that it's a legit hardware that is connecting to our system. So that is exciting as well. We don't want to know who you are. Of course we want to know who you are, but we shouldn't. So that's actually a good thing. Okay.
I guess that's it for this week.
Yeah, it's a good 30 minutes. So just a shout out to all of you listening in and also participating in the Discord. Exciting times are ahead. Just keep in there and keep up the good work. Also, if you're a Home Assistant owner, try out the Home Assistant plugin. It would be really nice to see how that works in scale. So, and with that, you should always remember, it's your energy.
Your power.
Your power.
Step into the neon lights. Let's take a ride into the gray.